The final season of Outlander is running out of time. There are only 2 episodes left. 2 episodes to wrap up years of love, war, loss, and sacrifice. And right now, heading into episode 9, everything that Jaime Fraser has fought to build is starting to crack a son he just got back, his best friend who has been taken, a war that refuses to let anyone rest, and a villain who is pulling strings from the shadows, playing everyone like pieces on a board. This is not the time for quiet moments. This is not the time for soft conversations by the fire. Episode 9 is the moment where every character has to make a choice, fight or fall back, protect or lose, stand or walk away. And the only way to protect the people you love in a world this brutal, in a war this unforgiving, is to fight. Not just with weapons, not just with armies, but with everything you have left inside you. That is what episode 9 of Outlander season 8 is really about. And before it airs on May 8th, 2026 on Stars, we are going to break down exactly what is coming, what it means, and why this episode might be the most emotionally heavy hour of the entire final season. Asterisk, to understand why episode 9 hits so hard. Before it even begins, you have to understand where episode 8 left every single character. Because episode 8 did not wrap things up cleanly. It ripped things open. It gave some people hope and then immediately reminded them that hope in this world has a very short life. Let us start with Jaime and William. For the entire season, William has been carrying something heavy. He found out the truth about who his real father is. He found out that the man he grew up calling Lord John Grey, the man he looked up to and loved, had kept a secret from him. His entire life. That kind of truth does not go down easy. It burns. It makes you angry at everyone around you, even the people who do not deserve it. But in episode 8, something shifted. William and Jaime finally had the conversation they had both been avoiding. Out in the forest, away from the war and the noise and everyone else, William let it all out. He told Jaime how much he had looked up to him back at Hellwater. He told him how much it hurt when Jaime left without even looking back. He said the things that had been sitting in his chest for years, and Jaime did not defend himself or make excuses. He just listened. And then he held his son. That moment was one of the most quietly powerful scenes of the entire season. Not because anything dramatic happened on the outside, but because something that had been broken for a very long time finally started to heal on the inside. 2 men, a father and a son, who never got to be a father and a son, finding each other at last in the middle of a war that could take either of them at any moment. And that is exactly why what happened next to Lord John Grey feels so cruel. Because just as Jaime and William found their footing, just as that relationship started to breathe again, the show took the one person who connects them both and put him in the hands of the enemy. Percy Beauchamp led Lord John right into a trap. And Captain Richardson was waiting. Lord John Grey, one of the most loyal and gentle characters in this entire story. A man who has protected Jaime's secrets and loved his family without ever asking for anything in return, was taken. Just like that. Cold, fast, and without warning. Episode 8 ended on that. Not on the warmth of Jaime and William in the forest. Not on the hope of a father and son rebuilding what was lost. It ended on Lord John in danger and Richardson holding all the cards. That is where episode 9 begins. And that is why the next hour carries so much weight before it even starts. Asterisk, Captain Richardson did not just take a prisoner. He took the one man whose disappearance could unravel everything, Jaime. Fraser has spent this entire season trying to hold together. Think about what Lord John Grey actually represents in this story. He is not just a supporting character. He is not just a friendly face from Jaime's past. Lord John is the man who stepped in when Jaime could not be there. He raised William. He protected Claire. He kept secrets that could have destroyed everything. And he kept them without complaint, without bitterness, and without ever asking Jaime to pay him back. in a story full of complicated loyalties and broken trust. Lord John Grey is one of the very few characters who has never once wavered in his devotion to the people he loves. And now he is gone, taken, sitting somewhere, in the hands of a man who clearly knows exactly how much power that gives him. Captain Richardson is not a loud villain. He does not rage and threaten and make speeches. He is quiet. He is calculated. He moves people around like pieces and waits to see what falls. That is what makes him so dangerous in these final 2 episodes. Because a villain who shouts gives you something to fight directly. A villain who whispers and plans and waits gives. You've nothing to grab onto until it is already too late. The real question that episode 9 has to answer is not just where Lord John is being held. The deeper question is what Richardson actually wants. What is his goal? What does he gain by taking Lord John specifically? Is Lord John a bargaining chip to get to Jaime? Is he being used to pull William into something? Or does Richardson know something about Lord John himself? Something private and dangerous that he plans to use as a weapon? Because here is something this show has been quietly building all season. Lord John carries secrets. Not just Jaime's secrets. His own. His private life, the way he has had to hide who he truly is in a world that would punish him for it, has always been a vulnerability that the wrong person could exploit. And Richardson feels very much like the kind of man who does his research. The kind of man who finds the soft spot and presses on it slowly until something breaks. Then there is Percy Beauchamp. Percy is the one who set the whole thing in motion. He is the one who got close to Lord John, earned just enough trust, and then used it to hand him over. But the interesting thing about Percy is that he does not feel like a man who is doing this out of genuine cruelty. He feels like a man who is afraid. He feels like someone who has already been caught in Richardson's trap himself. And the only way he could find to survive was to give Richardson something bigger to focus on. That does not make what Percy did forgivable. Lord John trusted him. That trust was real, and Percy used it as a tool. But it does make the situation more complicated than a simple act of betrayal. If Percy is also being manipulated, if he is also a pawn in Richardson's game, then episode 9 is not just a rescue mission. It is a puzzle. And the pieces are people. Now layer William on top of all of this. William just had the most honest and open conversation of his life with Jaime. He just allowed himself to be vulnerable in a way he has never been before. He let his guard down completely and let Jaime back in. And the very person who raised him, the man who is arguably the most important figure in William's entire life, is now in danger. That is not an accident in terms of storytelling. The show is deliberately testing the new bond between Jaime and William at the exact moment it is most fragile. Because a bond that was just repaired has not yet been strengthened. It is like a bone that just set. It needs time and care before it can bear real weight. And Richardson, whether he knows it or not, is about to put enormous weight on something that is still healing. What does William do with that? Does the fear of losing Lord John push him closer to Jaime, to men united by love for the same person? Or does it crack something open again? Old anger rising back up because, once again, the people William loves are being taken from him and he is powerless to stop it. That tension is what makes episode 9 so loaded before a single scene has even played out. Lord John being taken is not just a plot event. It is an emotional grenade dropped right into the middle of the most important relationship arc of the entire final season. And when that grenade goes off, nobody in this story is going to come out of it unchanged. The only way through it is to fight. But in this case, fighting might not mean drawing a sword. It might mean making choices that cost something real. It might mean trusting people you are not sure you can trust yet. It might mean Jaime Fraser once again putting himself between the people he loves and the danger coming for them, even when the odds say he should not win. That is who Jaime Fraser is. That is who he has always been. And episode 9 is about to remind everyone watching exactly why this character has carried this story for 8 seasons. Asterisk. There is a certain kind of love that does not know how to be soft. It does not show up with gentle words or quiet gestures. It shows up with clenched fists and a refusal to stand down. It shows up when everything is falling apart and the person who loves you plants their feet and says, "Not this time. Not while I am still breathing." That is Jaime Fraser's love language. It always has been. And in episode 9, that love is about to be tested in a way that cuts deeper than any battlefield ever could. Because the war outside Fraser's Ridge has always been something Jaime could understand. He knows how to read an enemy. In a field. He knows how to rally men and make hard decisions under fire. War, as brutal as it is, has rules. It has a shape. But what is coming in episode 9 does not follow rules. It goes straight for the people Jaime loves most. And there is no military strategy in the world that prepares a man for that. Let us talk about what Jaime is actually carrying right now as he walks into this episode. He just held his son for the first time as his father, not as a stranger from Hellwater. Not as a man William once admired from a distance without knowing. Why? As his actual father. That moment in the forest in episode 8 was years of pain finally being set down. William cried. Jaime held him. And for just a few minutes, in the middle of a war, in the middle of a season full of loss, something was made whole. But Jaime is also a man who received a warning. Frank Randall's voice has been threading through this final season like a quiet alarm that nobody else can hear. Jaime has been sitting with that warning, turning it over, looking at it from different angles. And now, after what happened to Lord John at the end of episode 8, Jaime is seeing Frank's words in a completely different light. The warning is not abstract anymore. It is not somewhere in the future. It is happening right now around him to the people he loves. That shift in Jaime is important because it changes how he moves going into episode 9. He is not just reacting anymore. He is a man who feels like he has been given a map and is now watching every landmark appear exactly where the map said it would. That is a terrifying thing. To experience knowing something bad is coming and watching it arrive anyway, unable to stop it, only able to decide how you respond to it. And his response, as it always is, will be to fight. But here is where the story gets genuinely interesting, in a way that goes beyond action and rescue missions. Because the title of this video, the phrase that sits at the center of everything episode 9 is building toward, is not just about fighting with weapons. It is about what protection actually costs. What you have to give up to keep the people you love safe. What parts of yourself get worn down or broken or lost in the process of standing between your family and the world trying to destroy them? Jaime Fraser has been paying that cost his entire life. He paid it at Culloden. He paid it in prison. He paid it every single year he spent separated from Claire. He paid it when he had to give William up and walk away from Hellwater without looking back, knowing that looking back would only make it impossible to keep going. Every single sacrifice Jaime has ever made has been an act of love expressed through loss, and now he is paying it again. Only this time, the stakes feel different. This is the final season. There are only 2 episodes left. The show is not going to let Jaime off the hook gently. Whatever he has to do to protect Lord John, whatever he has to risk, whatever he has to face down in episode 9, it is going to cost him something real. Now bring Claire into this picture, because Claire is always the anchor. In every storm Jaime has ever sailed through, Claire is the thing he comes back to. She is the reason the compass still points somewhere worth going. But Claire in season 8 is also a woman carrying the weight of knowing things nobody around her knows. She has seen the future. She understands what Frank's warning means in a way that even Jaime cannot fully grasp. And watching the people she loves walk toward danger that she can see coming but cannot fully stop is its own kind of suffering. Claire does not get to be the one who charges into battle in episode 9. Her fight is quieter and, in many ways, harder. It is the fight of loving someone brave enough to risk everything and having to trust that. Bravery without being able to guarantee they come back. It is the fight of being the person left holding the hope when hope feels very thin. That dynamic between Jaime and Claire. Him moving toward the danger and her holding the light steady behind him is exactly what the episode 9 title Pharos is. Pointing at a lighthouse does not chase the storm. Stands still and burns bright so that the people in the storm have something to navigate by. Claire is the lighthouse. She always has been. And in these final 2 episodes, that role has never mattered more. But pull back even further and look at the whole picture. Jaime fighting for Lord John. William processing fear and love and old wounds all at the same time. Claire holding steady. Marsali choosing the cause over grief. Fanny carrying something none of them fully understand yet. Roger and Brianna watching. History unfold from the inside, knowing what it leads to, unable to change the shape of it. Every single one of these characters is paying the cost of protection in their own way. Every single one of them is making a choice, consciously or not, to stand between the people they love and the thing trying to take them. And that collective act of love expressed through sacrifice is what Outlander has always been about at its deepest level. It was never really a time travel story, right? It was never really a war story. It has always been a story about what ordinary people with fears and flaws and broken hearts, are willing to do for the people they cannot imagine. Living Without, episode 9, is that story distilled down to its final, most concentrated form. And when it airs on May 8th, every choice every character makes is going to feel like it carries the weight of 8 seasons behind it. Asterisk. While Jaime and William and Lord John are carrying the heaviest emotional weight going into episode 9, they are not the only ones walking into fire. Every corner of this story is lit up right now. Every character left standing is being pushed toward a moment of reckoning. And the closer this show gets to its final frame, the more every small thread starts to feel like it matters enormously. Start with Marsali. Because Marsali Fraser in season 8 is doing something quietly extraordinary that the show does not always give her full credit for. She lost Fergus, the man she'd crossed an ocean for, the man she built a life with, the father of her children, is gone. And grief like that has a way of hollowing people out. It has a way of making everything feel pointless, because the person who made it all feel worthwhile is no longer there to share it. But Marsali did not hollow out. She made a decision. She chose to fight. Not because she knows which side wins. Not because Claire pulled her aside and told her how history plays out. Marsali has no knowledge of the future. She has no map. She has only her belief that freedom is worth bleeding for, and the conviction that if Fergus died in the middle of this fight, then his death has to mean something. She cannot let it mean nothing. She will not. That kind of grief turned into purpose is one of the most human things this show has ever portrayed. Marsali is not a general. She is not a strategist. She is a woman who has been broken open by loss and chose, in the middle of that brokenness, to stand for something bigger than her own pain. In a season full of grand dramatic moments, Marsali's quiet decision to keep fighting might be the most genuinely courageous thing happening in episode 9. Then there is Fanny. And Fanny is interesting because the show has been handling her with a kind of careful, deliberate slowness that suggests whatever she is carrying is being saved for exactly the right moment. She is young. She has seen things no young person should ever have to see. And now she is holding something, a revelation, a secret, a truth, that the people around her do not yet fully understand. With only 2 episodes left, the show does not have the luxury of holding things back much longer. Whatever Fanny knows, whatever she is sitting with, episode 9 is almost certainly the moment. It comes forward. And when it does, it is going to matter more than anyone around her currently realizes. Roger and Brianna are in their own particular kind of tension. They are time travelers standing inside a moment of history they already know the shape of. They know how the war ends. They know what the future looks like from the other side. But knowing the outcome of history does not make living through it any easier. If anything, it makes it harder, because they can see the destination and they still cannot save everyone on the way there. They have to watch people they love make choices that hurt, and they cannot always stop it. Because stopping it might change something that needs to happen. That is a specific kind of helplessness that the show has explored beautifully throughout its run. And in episode 9, as everything accelerates toward a finish line, Roger and Brianna are carrying that helplessness into its final chapter. To people who love each other, who love this family, who have sacrificed their own time and place to be here. Now standing 2 episodes away from having to decide what comes next for them. And then there are the free black men who pledge to fight alongside Jaime. That storyline is smaller in screen time, but enormous in meaning. Jaime earned that trust through respect, not through rank or money or power. He earned it by treating people as people in a time when the world around him refused to. And those men choosing to stand with him is not just a military development. It is a statement. It is the show saying, in its final hours, that the revolution Jaime is fighting for is only worth anything if it actually means freedom for everyone. Not just the people who look like him or come from where he comes from. Everyone that thread is going to pull tighter in. Episode 9, as the war narrows toward its final battles. And how Jaime honors that trust, how he carries those men into whatever comes next is going to say everything about who he has become over 8 seasons of this story. Now, let us talk about the title. Because Pharos is not just a word the writers picked because it sounds interesting. Pharos is the name of one of the most famous lighthouses in the ancient world. It stood at the entrance to the harbor of Alexandria, and its whole purpose was singular and simple. It burned so that ships lost in the dark could find their way home. Think about what that means inside the context of this episode. Every character right now is lost in some kind of dark. Lord John is physically lost, taken, held somewhere by a man with a plan nobody fully understands yet. William is emotionally lost, navigating new feelings about his father and his identity in the middle of a crisis. Marsali is lost in grief, trying to find solid ground by turning pain into purpose. Fanny is lost in whatever she is quietly carrying. Roger and Brianna are lost in the gap between knowing the future and living the present. And in the middle of all of that darkness, something has to burn. Something has to stand still and stay bright long enough for everyone else to find their sick still. We have a law like their preprudits. And we all know I've been exploring that, and we all know I've been exploring that path. Between knowing the future and loving the present. And in the middle of all of that, which we have 27, where are we? L6, double. L6, day 6. Khalib Y we 6, David Y 6. I say, good way to 6, sick way to 6, Q to 7, we see, 6, 8, we just see to go with it, we, I stu, sakada, I do, we second, could use that again, a Q to, so like, it's a with that, you give to, at to, to you to, with it, I cuss a key, or it's the kind of week, the Q to, I keep the, it cannot, the guy, can you, can we have, think, way, yeah, way through. That is what Claire does. That is what Jaime does for William. That is what Marsali is doing for her children by refusing to let Fergus's death be meaningless. The lighthouse in this episode is not one person. It is the act of love itself. It is every character who chooses to keep burning for someone else even when the storm is trying to put them out. Pharos is a perfect title for a penultimate episode, because a penultimate episode is itself a kind of lighthouse. It is the last point of reference before the finale pulls everyone into the final harbor. It is the episode that has to make sure every thread is lit up brightly enough that the ending, whatever shape it takes, lands with the full weight of everything that came before it. And that is an enormous job for 1 hour of television to carry. But if this season has proven anything, it is that the people making Outlander understand the weight of this story. They understand what it means to these characters and to the people watching them. They are not rushing toward the finish line carelessly. They are building towards something, so here is what to carry into episode 9 when it arrives on May 8th, 2026 on Stars. Watch Jaime not just for the action, but for the cost written on his face. Watch William for what he does with fear when the person he loves most is in danger. Watch Claire for the stillness she holds, even when everything around her is moving fast. Watch Marsali for the kind of strength that does not look like strength from the outside. Watch Fanny for the moment the show finally lets her speak fully. And watch the spaces between characters, the silences, the looks. The hands reaching for other hands, because in these final 2 episodes, that is where the real story lives. There are only 2 episodes of Outlander left, 2 hours to close out. A story that has spanned centuries, continents, and lifetimes. 2 hours to say goodbye to characters that millions of people have loved for years. The only way to protect the ones you love is to fight. Jaime Fraser has known that his entire life. And in episode 9, one last time, he is going to prove it. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Do you think Jaime reaches Lord John in time? Is Percy a villain or a victim? And who do you think? Is the real lighthouse in episode 9? Tell me everything below if this breakdown hit different for you. Make sure you are subscribed because the finale breakdown is coming and you do not want to miss it. This is Outlander's last ride. And we are going to see it through to the very end.